Hello. In this video, we'll talk about the return statement in Python. Okay. As we mentioned before, when we start talking about the functions, we said the functions, there's two different types of functions. Some of them, they will print out some calculations that you make in the function, and it's going to be printed out from the function itself. And there's some functions, they calculate some values or some expressions, and you call it in your main or from another function. And this function, it's going to make the calculations and then return it back. Okay. So if you want the function not to print, but to return, you need to use something what we call the return statement. Okay. So what the return statement is going to do, it's going to, once your code inside the function hits this statement, okay, which is the return statement, once you get to the line where it has the return statement, the function is going to get that value that you want to return and send it back to where you called the function in your main program or from another function. And the syntax for this return statement is very simple. You just type return and then space and then whatever. It's going to be either a value or could be some type of expression that it's going to be calculated and then returned to the main or to return to where you called it. Okay. So again, you have to think about it this way. Not every function need to have return unless the function is going to return some value. Okay. But let's explain it in different examples later on. Okay. So if the function itself does not have a return statement and the only thing you have to do in the function is to print out some result or some lines from the function itself, guess what? The function Python is going to make it return, but it's going to return something we call none. Okay, so it's going to return nothing basically, but the return is there. Okay, even if you do not type it, if you do not write it, it's going to return none. Okay, let's take a look at this example over here. Okay, here's a very simple example. This program wanted to do a simple mathematical function that we will call it square. The square function will take one number as a parameter and return the result of the squaring that number. Okay, so just imagine this box is our function, the square function. It needs some number. Okay, so this is going to be the parameter. This number is going to be the parameter that we declared in the header. It's going to be entered to the function, is going to be calculated in the function, and then the function is going to return. What is it going to return? The square of that number. It's going to return it to where you called the function. Okay, here's in this box, this is very simple definition of this function. This is the header of the function. Define the name of the function and one parameter that we have, and then colon, and the function is going to basically get the square of x and save it in y, and then you're going to return y. Okay, let's take a look at this in a program. Okay, here's the program. In your main, here's my function. I declared it over here. It's going to take one parameter, which is the x, is going to multiply it by itself and store it in y, and then it's going to return y. In my main, and again remember, every time we write a main, from now until the end of the semester, when we have functions, the main is going to start with f __ name, and this was explained in the previous video. Okay, so here I'm going to ask the user to give me the number. Look at the input statement. It's not in the function, it's in the main. Okay, and then I'm going to find out the square root by calling this function, pass into it, which is square function, pass into it the input from the user as an argument. It's going to go here, it's going to be mapped to an x, and it's going to be calculated and sent back again. When I hit return, return is going to return back the value of y, and it's going to be stored in the result. And here I'm just going to print out the result. Very simple. Okay, so let me run this program and see what's going to happen. Here is asking me for a number, let's say 4, and it's going to give me the square root of 4, which is the result of 4 squared is 16. Okay, let me show you something else here. Okay, so here I calculated the y, which is equal to x times x. Okay, and then I said return y. I can do some changes over here. I can say, okay, I don't want to see y. I don't want you to return y, but I want you to return x times x. What's going to happen? Python is going to calculate that, which is x times x. Whatever result is going to come out of this, it's going to be returned from the return statement, and it's going to be stored at the result. Let me run the program again. I'm going to say, let's say 5, and the result is 25. So either way, if you want to make it in one line return statement to make the function look smaller, or if you want to make it in separate lines, you calculate this first and then you return the result of calculating x times x. And that's about the return statement.